What's up guys, my name is Brandon and today Apple released iOS 12.2 Beta 6 to both registered developers and to public beta testers just 1 week after releasing the 5th beta. So of course, like always in this video, we're going to cover everything new here with Beta 6, and I will also give you an update on how Beta 5 has been running for the past week on my iPhone XS Max. And let's go ahead and just start off with the size of this update. So you can see it's a very small update, only 118 megabytes here on my iPhone XR, which of course did come from Beta 5. If we take a look at the build number, if we go into settings, general about, you can see right there the build number is 16E5227A. And if you were on Beta 5, you will know that that build number is very similar to the Beta 5 build number. Beta 5 was 16E5223A. And anytime we have an A at the end of the build number, that means that we are pretty close, or maybe this is the final beta before the final release. And the fact that it was so similar to the 5th beta indicates that this is probably going to be the last beta of 12.2 before a final release, which is probably going to happen next week when Apple has their keynote. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the changes here in Beta 6. And the first thing is going to be something new right here in this section right here. And now you're only going to be able to see this if you do have Apple Care. And you're going to notice there's a new section here, thanks to a Mac Rumors user for this screenshot. There's a new section here for Apple Care. It basically just shows you your status of Apple Care or Apple Care Plus. So this is pretty cool to have in addition to the new limited warranty section here as well. This was added in Beta 5. So now we have a section for our warranty and also now for our Apple Care. So we're getting a lot more out of the About section now in iOS, which is nice to see. Not to mention, I still love the fact that we have the About section sectioned off now into different sections. It makes everything just a lot easier to digest here in the About section. So anyways, what other changes are there here in Beta 6? Well, if we go into our settings and into screen time, you're going to notice that we have a new loading spinning wheel there in the top right while we're waiting on the screen time, all the data to load. Now this was added in Beta 5, but of course I didn't make a video on Beta 5 because that was when I was in the middle of recording my battery test between the new S10 and the iPhone, so I didn't cover that. But that was added here in Beta 5. Of course, it's still here in Beta 6 as well. Before, we kind of just had to guess when screen time was going to load up data because we never really had that spinning wheel. So it's nice that that little small detail has been added here in 12.2. Now, another change occurs when you press the volume rocker and the side button together. Obviously, to bring up the power down menu, you're going to notice that there is a slightly different animation to bring up these toggles right here. I'll do it again so you can see that it's very subtle, but it is a different animation. Kind of just fades into these toggles there. Now, another change I forgot to mention in the settings general about section here, and this was actually added in Beta 5, is that if you go into the model name section right here, if you go to model name, you'll see if you have an iPhone XS or a XR, the second letter there, either the S or the R, is going to be smaller than the X. And that of course is a very small and subtle change, but it is pretty nice to see. But aside from that, there's really nothing else changed here in Beta 5 or Beta 6. Really, it's, time to polish things up. It's time to just, focus on performance and battery life than anything for Apple. So let's talk about those two. So battery life on Beta 5 was kind of just all right. I felt that I got better battery life on Beta 4 on my iPhone XS Max. If we take a look at my battery charts here, you can see I'm averaging about a little over 7 hours of screen on and screen off time combined here on Beta 5. This was Beta 5 pretty much the last, 7 days out of the 10 days. So most of it was with Beta 5. So decent battery life. I mean, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's much better than iOS 12.1.4, but I still feel like Beta 4 was better. So hopefully Beta 6 takes us back to the battery life we were getting in Beta 4, because I really love the battery life that we had then. And of course, I will update you if battery life goes back to being really good here on Beta 6. I'm sure it will be. I mean, this is pretty much what Apple is focusing on now, performance and battery life. So Beta 6, again, especially if it's the last beta, could have very good battery life. So of course, I will report to you probably next week when either the final release or Beta 7 is released. I will let you know how the battery life has been here. So anyways, let's talk about the performance now. This is something I'm really excited about here with 12.2. So the performance on pretty much every beta of 12.2 has been super impressive, but with Beta 5, it's been by far the smoothest yet. I mean, I haven't had any glitches, I didn't have any hiccups, anything. It was running super smooth, feeling like a regular version of iOS, feeling like a public release of iOS. It did not feel like a beta at all. And it's the same with Beta 6 so far. Of course, it is still a little bit early on, but it feels about the same as beta 5, which is a great thing. And again, when we compare this to something like iOS 12.1.4, there is a noticeable difference in performance, which is great to see. So like I mentioned earlier, based on the build number of beta 6 here and the fact that Apple has an event next week, this could very well be the final beta of iOS 12.2 before that final release next week. And if Apple keeps everything as it is now, I will be happy with 12.2 because it's running really good here in the beta stages. Now, when it comes to the LTE and Wi-Fi connectivity, I've also had a lot less issues and a lot less drops than I did in iOS 12.1.4 here on 12.2. And I will say also that Apple did not change the modem firmware from beta 5 to beta 6. So that probably indicates that at least, not as many people are having issues with connectivity, which again is a great thing to see because in my opinion, that's the absolute worst thing about iOS 12 as a whole. iOS 12 introduced so many issues with connectivity, Wi-Fi, LTE, Bluetooth, you name it. And the fact that they're working on this and, continuously updating the modem firmware and things like that is a really good sign. I hope Apple learns from this and that iOS 13 doesn't have as many connectivity issues. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it here for iOS 12.2 beta 6. Not much changed. Again, I did also cover some stuff from beta 5 as well, talking about the battery life, performance, all that fun stuff. Of course, I will report back next week with how beta 6 has been running here. I'm going to install it here on my iPhone XS Max, my daily driver as well, and report back to you how it's actually working on a daily basis as my daily driver. But anyways, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Of course, make sure to subscribe for a lot more iOS coverage as well. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.